Well, hello YouTube. My name is Robert and I own a telemedicine company. And because of that, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to tell you all about Amazon's pharmacy program, essentially their telemedicine wing, which they just fired up, maybe 6 months ago or so. And I reviewed the program yesterday. I actually got some erectile dysfunction medications, which is one of the products that we sell at our company. And I have to tell you that I was completely blown away by several aspects of Amazon's program, one of which was the price, which we couldn't even possibly come close to competing with. So if you'd like to hear about Amazon's program from a telemedicine company owner's point of view, then let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, I'd briefly like to tell you about my company. My company is called Shameless Care. We deal entirely with sexual health, so if that's not of interest to you, then our company is not going to appeal to you. But I want to give you the backstory. So I created Shameless Care when I discovered that most physicians were not STD testing people properly. So people have oral sex, then they go to their doctor's office or the STI clinic or an online company, that sort of thing, and they ask to be STI tested for everything. And most of the time, doctors do not throat swab test them for oral gonorrhea and chlamydia. Those are site-specific bacterial infections which must be swabbed in every location they could be. And now, I don't know if this is too much for your delicate ears or not, but people have oral sex. And so the only way they're going to know if they have oral gonorrhea or oral chlamydia, which are almost always asymptomatic, are to be STI tested properly. And so I never wanted to get into this business, but I found myself desperately wanting to fix that situation. And that's why I created my company. Amazon, of course, created their company because they just can't help themselves. They have to dominate the world until somebody eventually stops them. But looking at Amazon's program, so I went ahead and got some erectile dysfunction medication, and I have to tell you, I was completely blown away by several aspects of it, one of which was the cost. So the medical evaluation was only $17, and that blew my mind. Even more surprising was that the medical provider that responded to my case was a MD, a medical doctor, and I expected that to be a licensed practical nurse, a little less compensated person who may be sitting in a room and spitting out prescriptions, but no, it was an MD. So I was really surprised by that. I'm a little bit troubled by it as well, I have to tell you, because $17, what do you think the doctor gets of that $17? Now, of course, I have no idea, but let's say it's $4, $5. I mean, at that small level of compensation, that doctor must be seeing 100 patients an hour. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of just guessing. I guess I'm so flustered by the fact that it was $17 for the medical evaluation, and that is so much lower than our doctor costs per patient at Shameless Care that I can't even begin to understand how they're doing it. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not suggesting anything unsafe is going on, but if you look at how hard Amazon pushes everyone who works for them, you know, their drivers, the people in the warehouses. I mean, what Amazon is a model of efficiency that is continuously striving to become more and more efficient and squeezing more and more and more out of every single person that works there. And I'm just not so sure how that plays out in a healthcare setting where the choices that those providers making are life and death and are very, very serious, even for something like prescription erectile dysfunction medication. So $17 medical evaluation, I was completely blown away by, I really was. And now the cost of the medication was even more surprising to me because what they ended up recommending to me was 10 doses of sildenafil for $5.64, something like that. That is less than what I have to pay the United States Postal Service to even mail medication. And so again, I just don't understand what's going on here. Although I will say that these huge companies have such advantages. You know, they don't pay the same credit card processing fees that a small fish like I do, and they almost certainly have better postal rates than we do. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but they're either operating at a severe loss, which of course they can because they have billions of dollars to play with, or they're getting some sort of special rate. I really don't understand it. But there's no doubt about it. My total charge was, I don't know, $28, something like that, for the medical evaluation and the shipping, and that is much lower than what my costs are to provide services. So my, as a patient, total retail cost was significantly lower than what it costs me to provide that same service to a patient. And so there's no way I could ever compete with Amazon on cost. And that's okay for reasons I'll get into. Now, everybody watching this video has made purchases from Amazon. You've no doubt added something to your cart. It said it would be there in 2 days and it doesn't show up, or some kind of problem like that. And then you reach out to customer service and you don't hear back for a long time. And when you do, the answers you get are sort of questionable at best, right? I told you that Amazon is an efficiency monster. That is what they do. That is all they think about, is efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Good customer service is not efficient. It's just not. If somebody writes to us, and we're a very small company, but if somebody writes to us at 8:30 p.m. on a Sunday night, we're going to respond within 10, 15 minutes. It's myself, it's my colleague, Ashley, a couple of other people on the team. We're absolutely committed to every single patient. And that's something that Amazon wouldn't do, doesn't care to do. Amazon sees patients as data points. We see them as real people. So let me give you an example. One of the products that we sell is called Doxypep. And Doxypep is an antibiotic that people take after sex to reduce their likelihood of contracting a bacterial STI. And we offer that in an emergency basis as well as a mail order basis. And so let's say that somebody has sex and the condom breaks, and 36 hours later they find an advertisement for Shameless Care and they order medication from us. Well, it's an outright emergency at that point that we get their case in front of a physician, and that prescription ends up going to their local pharmacy of choice. And I can't tell you how many times on the weekends, on the evenings, the patient says that the pharmacy did not get the prescription despite the doctor sending it, and we're on the phone calling a Walgreens and wherever, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, wherever it happens to be, to make sure that that's happening. And my colleague Ashley and I are talking about that patient. We know every single case that comes in on a first-name basis, and we're making sure that we see those through from beginning to end. It's an entirely different type of telemedicine than what Amazon would ever care to do or strive to do, and it's wildly inefficient, and it's expensive. But that's the kind of customer service that we offer. So I see Amazon entering this space as having some positives and negatives. The positives are for people who are living well below the poverty line. This is certainly inexpensive. And for people who live in rural areas or have transportation issues or no insurance, it's a win-win-win. I mean, this could not be cheaper, but it also has some downsides as well. Amazon is clearly operating at a loss here. They have an unlimited amount of money. They can enter a space and operate at a severe loss, lower the quality of what's happening in that space, while also driving people out of business who are offering a better service. And by better service, I don't mean the medication is better, I mean the service is better. I liken it to this. Let me just tell you this story. I come from a rural part of Missouri, and every little small town in Missouri, like the one that I came from, used to have a grocery store. So a town of 1,000 people, it had a grocery store. And that grocery store, owned by a couple, no doubt, and you would see the name of that grocery store on the jerseys of the Little League teams, or if you're a small town like me, the t-shirts that were our jerseys. And everybody knew the people that owned that store, and the people of that store would give the teenagers their first job and teach them how to work and treat them well. Well, what happened over time was that people learned that they could save, $20, $25, $30 a week on their groceries by driving 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away. Again, this is a rural area, so if you're from Brooklyn watching this, you're like, drive 30 miles for groceries. Yeah, people do that in rural Missouri. But they would go to Walmart, save a little bit of money on their groceries, and guess what happened over time? That store ended up having fewer and fewer items because they were losing money, and eventually people stopped going there altogether, and now those stores are just gone. There have been hundreds, if not thousands, of grocery stores close in rural communities in Missouri over time because people stopped spending their money there because they were trying to save money. And guess what's taken the place of those grocery stores? Dollar Generals and Dollar Trees. Places that don't have fruit, places that don't have vegetables, places that certainly do not make you feel like you're a dignified human being when you enter them, but places that are filling a need and milking the last remaining few dollars out of a dying community. And I don't think people realize that where they choose to spend their money makes a tremendous difference, but it changes the world more than almost anything else that you do. You as a consumer, where you choose to spend your money makes a tremendous difference. So if you are into sex-positive healthcare and you go to our website, shamelesscare.com, you'll see resources and videos about sexual health, all sorts of things that Amazon is just not going to get into or do. For example, next week I'm interviewing an OBGYN, and we're going to be creating resources together that patients can use when they're in the exam room with their in-person doctor to hopefully get better STI testing. That's not going to result in a sale for me. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to result in fewer sales for me, but we just feel like that's the right thing to do. And I'm a business owner, and I'm an American, and I'll always do what I feel like is right, including being completely open and transparent with you, which is why I told you in this video that, quite honestly, my experience with Amazon Pharmacy was pretty good. I was surprised that it was an MD. I was pleasantly surprised by that. And the costs were shockingly low to the point that they don't even make sense. But I do have some bigger picture concerns, and I personally would not want to live the kind of life where I get my medical care from Amazon. But you are going to have to do what's best for you and your life. But if more and more people get their medical care from Amazon, then more and more of our world is going to be Amazon-like. No customer service, poor quality, etc., etc. So I'm Robert with Shameless Care. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this video, please like and subscribe.